Well, how do I become part of this initiative or this group? And that question is exactly why you all are here in this room. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Wealth to Ventures, an exclusive closed room conversation brought to you by Startup Singam. And let's begin this day with a warm round of applause with all of your positive energy. Come on, everybody, let's give a warm round of applause. And before I start, I want to be very, very clear about what tonight is about and what tonight is not. Tonight is not a pitch event. Tonight is not where an entrepreneur steps forward with an idea and is going to ask you for money. But tonight is about education. Tonight is about conversation. And tonight is the beginning of a journey where someone from becoming, from where you are someone who watches someone who succeeds, an entrepreneur who succeeds with their idea, to becoming someone who backs them. And let me also give you a fact that might surprise you, because last year, will you wonder, 50% of Tamil Nadu's early stage startup funding came in through Startup Singam, and that is a wonderful achievement. 50%, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that deserves a really huge round of applause. Come on, everybody. 40%, I'm so sorry. 40%, again, it's huge. That deserves a round of applause. Well, that being said, this Startup Singam is not just a TV show. It is a powerful startup movement in Tamil Nadu's history, and we all are here to make history. And let's not forget about the fact that this is the first time ever where we have IVCA, Startup India, Startup Singam, and also SIDBI, all of these forces, the task forces, coming together into one room to address one audience. That is you. And these are the people who built India's startup policy and the institutions that channels government capital into venture funds. They are here. And the body that governs how alternative investments work in this country is here. And what's not, we all are here, they all are here because they believe that the next wave of startup capital in India must come from HNIs like you. Well, we want to help you all to see something that most of the people miss. The entrepreneurs, they're not just daydreamers. They are someone with an idea. They are an asset. Entrepreneurs are asset. And we want to help you see how you can invest in those assets. And we want to help you get knowledge, educate you on that part where you can invest wisely, confidently, and with full 100% clarity. Well, how many of you remember my name after all these talks? Nobody? Let me remind you again, I am Nancy Sam. You can call me Nancy throughout the evening. Thank you so much for joining us this very early. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule and being here. Your presence means a lot to all of us. And as I said earlier, we are here to learn something new. We are here to expand our knowledge. And we have an amazing lineup of speakers coming up. And before we move ahead, this room, this conversation, or this movement did not happen by itself, because Wealth to Ventures exists because Startup Singam exists. And Startup Singam exists because there was a group of remarkable organizations who believed that this idea is something way bigger than what it is to be, and who have not only become part of this Startup Singam just as sponsors, but as believers who believe in our vision. So it is time, before we start, let us thank our sponsors. Zoho presents Startup Singam, co-presented by TTK Prestige, powered by trusted home partner DAC, associate sponsors, Lalita Jewelry, V. Ventures, XB Group, City Union Bank, SSVM Institutions, Chandramari Group, and Rajalakshmi Group. Thank you so much to all of our wonderful partners who are the backbone of Startup Singam. And without further delay, to officially welcome you all, I'd like to invite our very own CEO, Mr. Arun Nair. Can I have a huge round of applause as we invite Mr. Arun Nair onto the stage? Welcome, sir. Very glad to have you with us today. And
good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. It's wonderful to see such a curated set of audience, distinguished set of speakers for the evening. So last year when we had to actually do this welcome, my first line of opening was all about Startup Singam, what we plan to do, how we are doing, and etc. But I think today, fortunately, most of the people in Tamil Nadu know us by the name Startup Singam, and we are grateful and thankful to the investors and everybody present here for the opportunity as well as for the welcome that you have given us. So without much ado, we'll start over the evening. So we'll have some very curated and very interesting sessions throughout the day as the day progresses. So we'll start with a small intro into the journey so far. So I'll call upon my founders, Hemachandran and Balachandar, Hem and Bala as we fondly call them, to give a quick intro of Startup Singam, and we'll stick to the time today. Thank you. Over to you, Bala and Hem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arun. That was a warm start to this wonderful evening. Yeah, let's hear the journey.
Good evening. Mega sir, Satamotada kekede. Good evening. Yeah, that's much better. Thank you so much. Firstly, every stage we get, we are very humbled with the kind of support, and our heart is filled with gratitude that there's a huge ecosystem now pushing Startup Singam forward. As we kept saying, Startup Singam is not our baby, it's Tamil Nadu's baby, so you are taking care of it, and the baby is doing really well, so that's what we want to share. Him, few words as you start off. So, Him.
Last year, it was an idea, just 1 year back, 1.5 years back, the idea in a PPT presentation, like all the startup, we also started with a dream. And to be honest, the dream was rejected by many people because they didn't believe that this has to be done by a big media corporation or big political background personalities, whatever. But we strongly believe in the dream that there is a huge demand, there is a huge opportunity in Tamil Nadu where there are a lot of ideas sitting not only in Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. We want to bring them to the forefront. So we need a platform, attractive platform, so that the ideas will come and also a lot of investors will invest. So the dream we presented to Mr. Kumar Vembu, he made our dream into reality by investing in Startup Singam company and also being a chief mentor and supporting us in all the way. Thank you, Kumar sir, for trusting us. I don't know whether we fulfill our dream or not. You can speak in the next session, but I think we are continuing it. So the dream, I want to stop with only one story which we have created. The Startup Singam platform not only getting fund, it's also transformed many startups people. It gave an identity, it gave a lot of confidence, it gave a lot of acceleration to their business, and it gave a lot of opportunity to bring more investors also. And coming back to HNIs, because the core stakeholders of this Startup Singam is HNI investors who trusted in our platform, who trusted in our due diligence, who trusted in our process, very transparent and honest process, and started investing in the company. Because when we invited a lot of HNIs in the first year, people had their own reservation because these startup ideas, whether it's a commercial viable business model. And after season 1, we committed almost 40 crores. Out of 40 crores, we deployed 25 crores in the startups. That's a huge success where our competition brand also couldn't do that. The second year, we already got the commitment of 100 plus crore. And even before the season 2 completes, we already deployed around 11 crores in a few startups. That's the impact, the evolution of our process and whatever. HNI, there is one person from Dindigul, a single mother. And she had little money. And after seeing our Startup Income shows, she applied on the online. She came for the show as a HNI sitting in the gallery. Last year, she invested around 10 lakhs. This year, she invested more than 2 crores. That's a transformation which we gave to the potential investor who want to invest other than share market or real estate or some other alternative investment. She didn't transform herself. So that's a Startup India mission also same thing. We want to identify district level investors who trust the local business, who trust the local founders, who invest, mentor and transform them. That is happening through Startup Singam. That's a one success story always I carry forward because she got her identity and she also learned a lot about angel investment. She invested and now she has become, she proudly put herself as I'm the Chennai Startup Singam patron. That's her identity now, apart from she runs her own jewelry business. That's a transformation we are given to HNI stakeholders as well as our startup people. I feel that this journey will continue. To make this more impactful, to make more successful, we want to do a lot of small events, and this is one of the initiative, and I would like to thank my CEO Arun for taking this initiative, and I would like to thank Startup India head Mamatha. Thanks for all the way coming from Delhi, and she also participated in the show also. You will be seeing her in TV. And thank you, Vikram, all the way you came from Bangalore, right? Mumbai, thank you very much. I feel that there's a great synergy between us to collaborate and make it big. And thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So we keep hearing, right, that California is California, Bangalore is Bangalore, because of the early stage bets that the first generation entrepreneurs take. So that's very important, even though if you have institutional investors, the first generation entrepreneurs putting money back into startups makes a huge difference. So that's what we are talking about, HNI enablement. So if you had been through our shows, I keep talking about our comparison to IPL. If Startup Singam is building a platform like IPL, then the HNIs are actually the facility, the grounds which are there, the infrastructure which is there. So which is what we want to make it stronger. We said when we started off that வீட்டுக்கு வீடு entrepreneur, தெருக்கு தெரு investor அப்படின்னு. அந்த தெருக்கு தெரு investor வர்றது பெங்களூர் இந்திரா நகரில் பார்த்தா நடக்குது. பட் ஆனால் சென்னையில் இன்னும் we are far away. If you see the growth in startups, from 2020, from 2,500 startups which are registered under DPIIT, today Tamil Nadu has 14,000 startups in 2025. So 5 years, that's a staggering growth, right? So, but on the other side, in terms of formal angel investors who are registered or part of a network, we only have about 400 to 500 registered investors, which is not at all enough for an ecosystem to build and thrive. So why? There are challenges that angel investors are looking. Many of you here in the room, we are talking to an audience who are industrialists, businessmen, running family offices. For you to invest the family office money in the primary markets, secondary markets, then in gold and real estate makes a lot more sense. But angel investment has always had these 4 bottlenecks: access to a very good pipeline, co-investment opportunities with leading investors, curation process that you can trust, and obviously a learning ecosystem where you can learn and move ahead. So these 4 challenges are what we structured within Startup Singam to solve, so which is what has helped build the HNI network as well. Over the years, in the last 2 seasons, we now have 125 registered HNIs on Startup Singam platform who are all part of the show. 25 of them are first-time investors, so they have not invested in businesses before, so they are first time. 40 of them in the second season alone have committed over 15 crores in the season 2. So many of them are here, so a huge round of applause to the HNIs who made Startup Singam what it is today. So what we are doing here today, this evening, is encouraging family offices, businessmen, to be a part of this platform, and we are trying to create awareness. So on the one side, we are trying to create awareness among startups. On the other side, we are trying to create awareness among HNIs. What do you do next, right? How do you make your first baby steps into angel investing? And then how do you become a serious investor? How do you become a serial investor? Where do you move from being an individual investor to building a family office and probably building a fund together? That's what Mamatha ma'am is going to speak about. So this is what we would like to kind of pass the information on through this session. A quick status check on season 2. So we have shot up to so far 20 episodes, 60 startups, so 6 more to go and 15 more startups to come in. Already there is 115 crore capital that is committed into the 20 episodes. So it's a round of applause to all of you. So the applause can be much more louder. So 115 crores is not a joke. The leading TV show, which is Pan-India Hindi, is hitting about 98 this season. So being in Tamil Nadu in a regional language to cross 100 is huge kudos to all of you, the investors and HNIs. Big round of applause, please. So it's more to come. We will, of course, keep you informed about what we are signing off for this season. And with this, I would like to call 2 or 3 HNIs who have been part of our journey to come forward and talk about their experience of being with us. I'd like to call Ms. Aparna and Mr. Raghu, who have been our golden couple for this season. Please come forward, Ms. Aparna, Ms. Raghu. We'd want to have you talk a few words about, so they are from, ma'am, come forward, ma'am. You can join us. So they are from the US, back to India, settled down here, and they are not only running their own business, Shobhitam, which is a platform for Indian brands abroad, but also they are investing actively into startups. So, and from Bangalore, they come all the way here for the shoot and are part of most of the shoots that have happened in the season 2. And
so we call them power couple. I don't know who is powerful at the home, but Shetla Yungadam powerful.
A very, very good evening. Thanks to the Startup Singam team for believing in us. It's been such an amazing journey, shooting 20 episodes so far. The biggest takeaway has been the feeling of gratitude for the impact that we are creating together. Right from grooming the founders who come to pitch, then the actual investment. The investment panel, it is beyond just money. It's strategic investment, far more valuable than what money can do for you. And then, even if they don't get funded, there's so much visibility that they are getting. So many people have contacted me through LinkedIn, through social media. So I really know, how much impact and visibility that the show is getting. And like you rightly said, we've actually crossed the nation's, the Hindi, the leading show. So, and that we've done in the 2nd season without even completing it. So, there's so much ahead of us, and it feels amazing. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, and good evening, everybody. Just to add to what Aparna said, for me, this has been a tremendous experience and learning opportunity. As we all say, it's all about people first. And the kind of friends that I've made through this entire process. Front bench lo ukarlam, back bench lo ukarlam, it doesn't matter. I'm sure there are many people cheering there. But it's been tremendous relationships. It starts with people. No company is successful, no startup is successful without people. So the first thing I want to do is honestly congratulate you guys and the team. You've put on a tremendous ecosystem and a show. It's just getting started. So a huge round of applause to the founders, the team, and the investors, everybody.
thank you, sir.
The second takeaway for me is, life we can do 3 C's, 3 P's, whatever, right? I really feel there are 3 P's here which stand out for this. It is a platform driven with performance and purpose. And that's something which has truly stood out for me. Startup Singam is not a show. It's truly becoming a platform. And these guys have a big vision. So I'm looking forward to seeing your vision evolve as a platform. And it's tremendous to see that we are investing based on performance. Not for type A's, not for egos, not for anything like that. Truly looking at every startup based on performance, and at the same time, we're bringing in purpose because we're contributing to the ecosystem, right? So that was my second big takeaway. And last but not the least, I think Bala said it, you said it. We've been 25 years in the US, we've come back to India, but trust me, this platform is putting not just Tamil Nadu, but Tamilians globally across the diaspora tremendously. So I think huge kudos. Hopefully this will become a platform not just for Tamilians, but for all of Indians. But I really want to kind of echo by saying that this is a global diaspora movement. Good job, guys.
Thank you so much for the kind words. Thanks. I'll round of applause as they leave the stage. So they have been investors earlier, but now I'll call upon a very interesting and cute first-time investor. He's now getting famous and as the 10 lakh Meghavarnan. So Meghavarnan sir, please come forward. So a software architect, runs his own firm and took his first steps into angel investing with Startup Singam. Sir, your experiences.
Firstly, thank you Bala sir and Hema sir and the entire Startup Singam team, including Arun and everyone. So this is a very first journey. I'm very naive to investment per se. ஸோ 20 years I have been in software. Software தெரியும்ல, அது ஒரு கார்னர், நம்ம போனோம்னா வெளியே வரமாட்டோம். ஸோ I was in that kind of a corner. I lived in Australia, returned back. I started my company. இங்கே தான் ஜேர்னி ஆரம்பிக்குது. I just want to spend a minute here. So I started my journey in the entrepreneurial journey. So I was doing very well in my profession as a senior tech person. So I started this company, and then went through a lot of struggles, hardships, etc., and then successfully came out, exited. Right, in this 10-year journey, what I realized is, when I started, I took a right turn. Okay, and after 10 years, when I look back, I think that I should have probably taken a left turn. So this advice, if someone would have given, it would have helped me. And the second thing is, during the course of this journey, around 5th year or 6th year, I wanted more cash. As you all know, we need 3 C's: connections, customers, and cash. For scaling, I needed all 3, but I didn't get a good investor. So I moved on, and then I had an exit. So at the end of the 10th year, after successful exit, what I realized is, I wanted to give these 2 to the ecosystem. So that's where the thing starts. Okay, with that in mind, I came into Startup Singam. I have not even invested 1 rupee in listed stocks. I don't believe in that. So that kind of a person I am. So I took this bold step of coming into Startup Singam. While I was naive, I am really thankful to this team who really encouraged me and made me invest. So in the last 1 year, I have invested in 15 plus startups. We together as a team of 6 individuals. And what I see is, it's not just money that I am investing, it's the knowledge that I am going to gain from these 15 intellect founders, right? So that is the kind of a knowledge that I am going to take back, and at the same time I am going to give back to the startup ecosystem. So with this kind of a thought process, I came in, and I am really thankful and grateful to the team for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mega sir. Thank you so much. So I
Mamatha
know.
Madam, Mamatha Madam, this is the typical transformation case, the mission of Startup India, where we want to identify the HNIs who want to contribute, but they don't know how to do that, and this is the platform which serve the purpose. Yes.
Absolutely.
We listen to him, definitely. We are waiting to listen to you, sir.
So next is another special person, first-time founder, exited the business, didn't want to rush and start another startup. He said, now I'll get into investing. So welcoming founder of I Am Neo, Sendil. Sendil, please come forward. Huge round of applause for Mr. Sendil,
He is
please.
from Coimbatore, another Tier 2 city, and which is South Manchester of South India.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I think one of the very important things that I have learned coming from Coimbatore is like, a company ஆரம்பிச்சோம், and then tried funding with multiple people. Every time turned down. சரி, அப்படியே bootstrapped பண்ணிடலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பண்ணியாச்சு. Now last year we got acquired by listed company, and சரி இப்போ தான் acquire பண்ணிட்டாங்கல்ல, இனி போய் எல்லாத்து பக்கம் நம்ம தேடி இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணலான்னு போனால், couldn't find even a single startup which is ready to take our money. That's the reality. Because if you need to identify a quality startup, that itself is a process, right? So அப்பதான் தெரிஞ்சது, ஒரு கம்பெனி ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் ரைஸ் பண்ணுறது மட்டும் ப்ராப்ளம் கிடையாது, ஒரு இன்வெஸ்டராக இருந்து ஒரு ரைட் ஸ்டார்ட் அப் ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணுறதும் ப்ராப்ளம். And I think I was able to find the right companies, which I believe in through this platform. I think by that way, this platform has really helped me to actually invest and identify good companies. Thank you, guys. And the second most important thing here is like, if you are looking at companies, to invest, இன்னொரு முக்கியமான விஷயம் அதில் என்ன பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, the companies require different kind of a support. So being an individual investor, we may not be able to offer everything that they need. But if we go as a group, then we will be able to support them. That's why you will find networks which are successful in investing in startups, especially the early stage startups. It could be Indian Angel Networks or Chennai Angels or any other network. So, a network form panano. Okay. Again, if you are starting up as an investor, and the network kulla poradum vandu konjam kashtam. Okay, right? It actually works like a proper, lobbying system. Okay, இந்த ஸ்டார்ட்அப் நல்லா இருக்கா, அவங்க வந்திருக்கா, ஓகே நம்மளுக்கு தெரிஞ்ச இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ் இவங்க இந்த சர்க்கிளில் சொல்லுங்கள், அப்புறம் அங்கேருந்து அப்படியே அது வந்து ஒரு விசி நெட்ஒர்க்குள்ளே போகும். ஸோ நீங்கள் போனீங்கன்னா அது வந்து ஒரு அன்டிஃபைன்டு ஒரு பாத், பட் ஆனால் அது ஒரு பாத் ஆல்ரெடி வர்ச்சுவல் பாத்ஸ் போட்ட மாதிரி அந்த லைன் பிடிச்ச மாதிரி அப்படியே போய்கிட்டே இருப்பாங்க. So, but one thing that I have identified is like, okay, here anyone can be a part of it. Okay, it's an open platform, right? In fact, some of the startups idhula vandu, okay, show mudinjadukku appuram, for example, in one of the companies that I'm still evaluating, or I've evaluated after the show was, Visayon. Okay, I wasn't part of that particular startup when the show happened, but after the show, I reached out to the founders, Coimbatore la irukanga, I went, met them. Okay, now I'm interested to back them up as well. So these kind of opportunities is something that, we are able to get out of Startup Singam. And I think one of the things, I think I want to talk on behalf of them on this platform, one very, very important element that we as an investor see is like, okay, இந்த ஸ்டார்ட்அப்ஸில் பணம் போடுறதுக்கும் வந்து அதர் ஏரியாஸில் பணம் போடுறதுக்கும் ஹவு இஸ் த ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் வந்து கம்பேரபிளாக இருக்குமா என்ன ஏதுங்கிறது, தட்ஸ் த ஃபஸ்ட் திங் தட் கம்ஸ் இல்லையா, பிகாஸ் இட்ஸ் ஆர் ஹார்ட் ஏர்ன் மணி விச் வி ஆர் புட்டிங் இட் இன். ஓகே, அண்ட் மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த டைம்ஸ் இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ் சைட்லேருந்து பேசும்போது என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கனாக்கா, இது என்னமோ ஒரு பெரிய சேரிட்டி மாதிரி பேசுவாங்க. நீங்கள் வந்து இன்னொரு ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ஸை சப்போர்ட் பண்ணணும், அது பண்ணணும், இது பண்ணணும். சரி எல்லாம் ஓகேப்பா, என்னோட பணத்துக்கு வந்து ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் வருமா இல்லையா அப்படிங்கிறது தான் for every businessman, they will look into it. Okay, but please understand, this can give the best returns, okay, if you have perseverance. See, we all entrepreneurs, I think most of them, if you are, doing business, okay, you know that perseverance is very important in our businesses as well. Same way, give startups the time. You are putting a money, okay, and it requires that time. If you give a 10 to 15-year horizon to your money, to the startups that you have invested, it will definitely grow and give better returns, okay? So that means it's not a, liquid money. நீங்கள் நினச்ச நேரம் வந்து அதிலிருந்து பணத்தை எடுத்துட முடியாது. That's the only problem statement that it is there. ஸோ அப்போ நீங்கள் உங்களோட போர்ட்ஃபோலியோவில் ஒரு போர்ஷன் வந்து ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ஸ்க்குன்னு அலோகேட் பண்ணி ஒரு 10 to 15 இயர்ஸ் ஹாரிசான் நீங்கள் கொடுங்க, எஸ்பெஷலி ஏர்லி ஸ்டேஜ் கம்பெனிஸ்க்கு கொடுங்க. இட் வில் கிவ் மச் பெட்டர் ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் தேன் எனி அதர் அவென்யூஸ் தட் இஸ் தேர். திஸ் இஸ் மை பர்சனல் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் ஆஸ் அ ஃபவுண்டர். இப்போ நான் உட்காந்து சொல்லுவேன், என்னோட இனிஷியல் நான் ஐஎம்னியோ ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணப்போ ஒவ்வொரு இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ்கிட்டையும் நான் போய் பேசினவங்க போட்டிருந்தாங்கன்னா இந்நேரம் அவங்க எவ்வளோ ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் எடுத்திருப்பாங்கங்கிறது ஐ நோ இட். Okay, the same thing, all the startups can happen. And another thing is like how to pick the company. If you are a businessman, if you are, entrepreneurship, you will definitely pick right startups. Believe in you. Okay, that's the next thing that I wanted to say. Okay, right? In fact, I am your run பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தப்போ வந்து லைக் இவர் மேகவனன் சார் சொன்ன மாதிரி, ஓகே, வேறு எந்த கம்பெனிலையும் நான் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணல, இன்க்ளூடிங் த ஷேர் மார்க்கெட், ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட், எதுலேயுமே ஃபுல் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் இன் ஐஎம்னியோ. தட்ஸ் ஹவு எவ்ரி ஃபவுண்டர் வில் புட் இன். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி நம்ம கொஞ்சம் விஜிலண்ட்டாக ஒவ்வொரு நம்மளுக்கு என்னென்னலாம் பிடிக்குமோ அதை மட்டும் நம்ம வந்து ப்ராப்பராக எவாலுவேட் பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா அவர் டெசிஷன் வில் டெஃபினெட்லி பி த ரைட் டெசிஷன். ஓகே, ஸோ உங்களை நீங்கள் பிலீவ் பண்ணி நீங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுங்கள், புட் அ லாங் டேர்ம் ஹாரிசான் டு இட். கண்டிப்பாக you are supporting another entrepreneur to grow, and by that way 100% I can tell you your money will also grow. Thank you.
Thank you Sandil sir, enga pitch alla neenga panniteenga. Thank you so much. Yeah, so next finally Mr. Chandrasekhar Kuperi, the ever energetic, avarkitta pudichadhu enna ellathukku ஒரு frame box சொல்லிருவாரு. So Chandrasekhar sir, just a quick your experience and your journey with Startup Singam. Chandrasekhar Kuperi, peaceful progress.
சாரோட ஸ்பெஷாலிட்டி 1 minute எல்லாத்தையும் கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ணிடுவார்.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஆல் அவர் சொன்னது உண்மை தான். 1 மினிட்ல முடிச்சிடுறேன். ஓகே, எனக்கு பிடிச்ச விஷயம் என்ன ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம்லன்னா, உண்மையாகவே இந்த ஹேம் சாரை பாராட்டணுங்க. நான் ஒரு வாட்டி லஞ்சில் வந்து ஹேமோடு பேசியிருந்தேன். அவரோட விஷனை பார்த்தேன். அந்த விஷனை பார்த்து அசந்துட்டேன் சார். இல்லை, அது உங்கள் விஷனை பார்த்து அசந்துட்டேன். I used to say, what we vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe in, and of course enthusiastically act upon, must inevitably come to us. அதுதான் ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம் உங்களுக்கு. So it is him, it is Bala, it is Arun who are the real pillars who are helping us. Raju நானும் எப்பயுமே பேசுவோம். One of the beautiful things that we appreciate about Startup Singam is IRR. So IRR இந்த இன்டர்னல் ரேட் ஆஃப் ரிட்டர்ன்லாம் கிடையாதுங்க. இன்வெஸ்டர் ரெடினஸ் ரிப்போர்ட். ஸோ எதுக்கு சொல்லுவார் அப்படின்னா 3 விஷயம், அதை முடிச்சிடுறேன். ஒன்று, ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம் ஏன் ரொம்ப பிடிச்சிருக்கு அப்படின்னா, ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கமில் தே ஆர் நாட் சூஸிங் ஃபவுண்டர்ஸ் ஆர் ஸ்டார்ட் அப். யூஆர் சூஸிங் ஃபவுண்டர்ஸ் அண்ட் ஸ்டார்ட் அப் விச் ஆர் எக்ஸிக்யூஷன் ரெடி. ஏன்னா அதுதான் எங்களுக்கு தேவை. கேன் வி லுக் அட் யூ, கேன் வி எவாலுவேட் யூ, கேன் வி இன்வெஸ்ட் இன் யூ, அதான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு நீங்கள் பார்க்குறோம். செகண்ட், ஸ்டார்ட் அப் சிங்கம் is not a stage for fundraising. It's a platform for sustainable entrepreneurship. அது ரொம்ப பிடிச்சிருக்கு ஹேம். I really mean it. You're creating sustainable entrepreneurs, which is what we are all looking for. Because பயமாக இருக்குது இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறதே. ஜோக்கா சொல்லணும்னா, விக்ரம் சார் இங்கே இருக்கார். Whenever we say that we invest in a startup, one of the concern is, forget about return on money. Is there return of the capital itself? So எங்களுக்கு அந்த பயம் தான். ஸோ ஐ திங்க் வாட் யூர் டூயிங் தேர் இஸ் absolutely splendid. The third thing, Hema, I've learned personally through Startup Singam is, I think this networking, is so beautiful. ஒரு காலத்து networking, I used to think networking is connecting with people. No, you only taught me networking is connecting people with people, people with ideas, and people with opportunities. What you are doing, Therima, most of the startups here, and including investors, we are able to talk to each other and understand how we can become better. And probably, I think you're also creating a great network of friendship among the investors here. I think Mukasi investors go a problem, and if they don't understand, they always look forward to somebody who is much better in terms of understanding of that particular startup or sector. That's happening here, and that's a great privilege. I'll end with a statement. Startup success is rarely immediate, but not in Startup Singam. Guys, wish you all the very best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Chandrasekhar sir. With this, a huge round of applause, I'll call upon our chief mentor, Kumar Vembu sir. Sir, we would like you to share our impact of the Startup Singam journey. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, all. My apologies, I came a little late. Yeah. So I just want to finish it quickly with the 3 points. The first one is, what is Startup Singam impact on me and the Mudal partners, the company I run, which focuses on Startup Singam. So in 10 years of investing, or close to 10 years of investing in startups while running Go Frugal Technologies, we had invested in about 12 startups. And in the last 14 months, I have met about 72 startups. Among them, I have found about 20 startups where we have either already made the investment or committed investments. So what has, basically, I would say I am, I am more enthusiastic to wake up every day and work because there is a new founder meeting every day. So that has had a very positive impact on me. And second thing is, what is the impact on the startups that are shown on TV, right? So I met a startup, Robonetics, that this morning, right? They were in the Startup Singam show in one of the episodes that is already aired. And they got about 10 crores investment in the Startup Singam. So the founders were telling me 3 things, many things we were discussing. But after the show was aired, in fact, they have already got a purchase order for $120,000 from US, when US is not even their target market for a robo. Robo is a physical product, right? So they already, somebody, Tamil speaking person saw the program in America. He got in touch with them, he engaged with them, they were able to show a video tour of their product, customer testimonials, made them talk to his customers, and then they were able to get a $120,000 order. So that is the immediate impact on sale, and many startups say this. And second thing, and most important thing is, they had a lot of friends who were working in multinational companies, and they need leadership to grow. And they got inbound interest from, some of them, friends and other people in the industry, saying, they want to work with them in some leadership role if opportunities exist. That means they are able to get more inbound interest of talent, which they were not, they have to reach out and the people were not interested in earlier. And the third and most important thing which many startups say is, we all know, the journey of entrepreneurship is lonely. So all these founders say they got much more, understanding from the family of what they do, so the support of the friends and family and support of the society or community they are part of. So these are, impact, I would say, on me and the founders who have been featured on Startup Singam. And the second thing is, what is that I am surprised about, right? So we normally talk about women in entrepreneurship, the percentage of women is very low and things like that. And in Startup Singam, in fact, when we did the first 12 episode shooting, I think 8 or 9 had at least one woman founder, and 5 or 6 had only woman founder. So even now, about 60 startups have been featured in the 20 episodes that have been shot till now. And in the last season, I was part of 4. So that is 12 startups. In the 72 startups, see, this is anecdotally, I didn't count the woman founder, but I will say definitely the number is very high. So the number of women founders, the number of couples who are founders together, and the chemistry between them, and how in most of the startup, the woman is the one taking leadership in the company, in the pitch, everything. That is really inspiring. And since I also worked in software for more than 30 years, so we think that, the IT industry or software or technology market is the only market, but the diversity of startups, the kind of problems they solve, I must be honest in saying that most of the problem people were solving, I didn't know such problem existed, and many of the solutions were fascinating, meaning, the kind of traction or product market fit they have found in those problems is inspiring. So definitely it's like, life will be boring after the Startup Singam shooting is over in May 19th. So I have to find out what I have to do. Okay. So that's all I want to say. So, if you have money, and if you have, if you have the, knowledge and skill to help other people, not only with your money, like Meghavarnan mentioned, with the 3 C's, right? Then, definitely you should participate, because, it is not only about helping somebody, it is also like you end up learning a lot, you enjoy yourself, and it's really fun to be part of Startup Singam. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, sir. A man who doesn't need an introduction at all, and one of the most respected voices in the industry. Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. With that, I love the fact that you both share the success stories on the stage. That is super fascinating. And it's not just something crafted for stage, but real stories, real people like you sharing their success stories. That was such a lovely message, and I didn't get a chance to actually say it back then. So yeah, now we move on to another session. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, for any ecosystem, for any investment to thrive, it needs a strong foundation. And in India, that foundation has been built by the government through Startup India, launched in 2016 under DPIIT, which is the Department for promotion of industry and internal trade. But what most people don't know is that behind the policy, there's also a capital. Through SIDBI's funds of funds, the government has channeled thousands and thousands of crores into venture funds across India, creating a pipeline that connects government indirectly to the startup growth. Well, to highlight a fact that DPIIT recognized startups has crossed over 2.25 lakh as per today, and behind that number is a policy architecture that has been carefully built over the last decade. And to walk us through this ecosystem that we're talking about, we have a very special personality coming up, the policy, the schemes, and what it means to all of the investors in this very room. We have Ms. Mamatha Venkatesh, who's a Vice President and Head of Startup India, leading the Government of India's flagship mission to build a strong and inclusive startup ecosystem. With over 16 years of experience across venture capital, policy and ecosystem development, including roles at Axel, the government of Karnataka, and Goldman Sachs, she focuses on enabling early-stage startup, women entrepreneurs, and innovation across Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Let's give her a warm round of applause. Who's going to be taking over the next session?
Good evening, everyone. And today there's no script, no PPT, nothing. I have come out to speak through my heart. That is what it takes for us to be here today. And thank you for Startup Singam. You know, how it all started, they reached out to me to be part of a special episode for Women's Day, by the way. For those who don't know, I'm a Tamilian. That is why the call came. Being a Tamilian, so you speak Tamil. First of all, first question he asked, do you know Tamil? Do you speak Tamil? I said, yes, I'm a Tamilian. So that surprised him, and he said, like, why don't you come for a Women's Day special episode? I couldn't make it because of some medical reason, and we left it there. And thanks for today's social media and the way how we see things. I was just scrolling through something on Insta, and I saw small snippet of Startup Singam episode where a cosmetic brand, a woman founder, correct, Vegas, and she was turned back by the investors because she was not ready to come down with her valuation, by the way. Very, very adamant founder. She said, no, I worth this much. It's okay if you guys are not investing. And, you know, that is what made me to call him, by the way. We have seen people who raise funding, happily going with their checks and stuff. But this lady who was very, very strong-headed, who said, no, I value this much. It's okay if you guys are not investing, but I will come back. You will only call. So that was her confidence. And I called him and said, hey, do you know there is fill in the blanks which happens from the government? You know, whatever the schemes that you guys see today, it is all meant to fill those gaps in our ecosystem. If somebody is not able to raise angel funding or any kind of VC funding at the time that they required most, that is where we have created certain seed funding schemes or even CGSS bank programs and stuff like that. If I was there on the stage, I would have told this particular founder, it's okay if these panel of investors are not investing, but there is a program called Credit Guarantee Scheme where government gives up to 20 crores loan if your startup is worth, and we are from the DPIIT, we are the guarantor for your loan, no collateral required. How many of you in this room knows about this? Right? So there is a lot of that gap which we fill from the central government, by the way. That is why these kind of schemes have come up, first of all. I would have definitely told her, please go apply with one of the banks and make best of it till an angel or an investor comes back to you and invests more in you, right? That is the thing which made me to call him and say, hey, listen, I want to come to the show now. And at least talk about what is there in the government when there is a right time approach. You have to reach out to multiple different channels. Tap into the doors of an investor or government scheme wherever possible. Right time support need to be given to the founders is what I thought so. And that is where I had a first call. They wanted to tell me about like how the whole show runs and the format of it and stuff. And Kumar sir came into the VC just to say hi to me at that time. And we are talking more for startups. What is in there for startups? Why are we not talking about what is in there for an investors from the government is what we discussed. And that is why we are here in this room to cover that. It's not only for startups what government does, it is also filling in the gaps for the investors also. Today's one of our colleagues said, you know, whatever the money we put in, at least we should get back our capital. That is the fear. Definitely, yes. That is the fear each investor has in this room, because it's an hardened money of yours. To fill in that fear only, that valley of death, how do we cover that fear gap in an investor is what the government thought through long, long back, 5 years ago. And they came up with fund of funds, right? So that is how all these happened. To fill that fear gap is where we started this fund of fund, 10,000 crore long back. And that 10,000 crore is invested in AIF's alternate investment funds. And SIDBI is our fund managers. And now the 2.0 is also out, which is 10,000 crores again. So did central government stop there? No, definitely not. So the innovation that is happening, the deep technology that is happening, that needs even more pumping up of more funds, more capital in the country. So that is where they realized we need more money for the innovation, not only the startup innovation, across innovation, the R&D that is happening. So that is where RDI fund also came into the picture, which is 1 lakh crore. Tell me which is another country which pumps in so much of funds like this from the government to the ecosystem. Very, very less actually. And India is leading not only from raising money from HNIs or VCs, even government is pumping up that level of funds and money here. And many of you should definitely make best use of it. And that is why we have representative from IVCA today who will take you through how that whole process happens. And we have an expert today with us, and he will also cover how the domestic capital can be used rightly to put into the startup ecosystem. I'm here just a messenger connecting dots here. Again, that is the job of government. As I said, we are the fillers in everything that we do. So I will hand over to the next set of people to take it forward. But thank you to IVCA. SIDBI couldn't come today, but definitely we will connect you to the SIDBI folks as well. And there are many, many enablers like IVCA, and I request all of you to take best use of it. See, if possible, become a member of IVCA, and you get access to lot many investors. As we say, if we are new into the investment, that means we need mentor for ourselves, right? So who are traditional investors like IVY sitting over here, they can guide you rightly. That is how it happens. And I would like to thank Startup Singam team. What they are doing today is tremendously, amazingly put up show. This is not just a show. What we did in Bangalore long back, like Let's Venture, Pi Venture kind of thing, where few angel people came together, form a group of an entity, and they started investing. But today, you don't have to come up together to, become that investor. Rather, they are giving open platform for you. That is really a good one. You guys are learning, and definitely thank you so much for not letting the money go to the real estate, by the way. At least let it go to the startups who are really building something great. So thank you so much for having me here today, and let's hear from the experts about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for keeping it very short and crisp. So policy, capital, infrastructure, all working together. So when you are investing, you're not investing alone. So government is co-investing with you through SIDBI, and I think that was pretty clear when Mamatha ma'am said it. Thank you so much, ma'am. And now we move on to the most practical session, I would say, because, for example, you want to invest in startups, but how exactly you want to do that? right? Through which structure and what protects it, right? I think this is the question that most of the HNIs might carry, and this session, the upcoming session, will address exactly that. Because the answer, I would say, it lies in the alternate investment funds, which are the AIFs, and they are regulated, government-approved vehicle through which investors can participate in venture capital in India. Governed by SEBI, backed by IVCA, the Indian Venture and Alternate Capital Association, this is the framework that makes startup investing structured, transparent, and accessible. Well, to break this down for all of us, let me invite Ms. Twinkle, who's a partner at Redfin Legal, heading the Gift City office and specializing in AIF formation, fund structuring, and regulatory advisory. With over a decade of experience, she works closely with venture capital, private equity, and global funds on India-focused and cross-border investments, combining strong regulatory expertise with practical execution. Let's give her a warm round of applause. Ms. Twinkle, very happy to have you with us, and we're very eager to hear from you. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. So I think we have had wonderful, discussions just before I came on the dais. So I believe we have wonderful startups who have been there on this platform. We have wonderful investors who have been there on the platform. I know my topic might be little, I would say, boring. So I'll try to keep it as much as interactive possible. So please feel free to just interject, raise your hand, ask me questions. Because obviously what I'm going to talk about is more on the legal regulatory side and what options do investors have. I think what Mamatha ma'am rightly said, you know, what do we have for investors? And in fact, before her, a lot of other, I would say, speakers also mentioned that what is critical is when we invest, for how long should we wait? What is the correct amount? What is the correct timing? So there are a lot of questions every investor would be having when they are looking for investments. And of course, a good startup pipeline, that's another critical aspect. You have lots to invest, but probably you don't know which is the correct pipeline, whom to approach, how to approach for that pipeline. So there are different questions at different time that every investor, or even at times startups face. So I think one very important aspect which Mamatha ma'am referred to is how SEBI as a regulator and DPIIT as you know from the government side are addressing these things, right? The way she mentioned about SIDBI fund, which is a fund of fund. Similarly, we have a lot of other alternative investment fund managers. In fact, we have quite a few present right now, and I'm sure they're going to take you through the business aspect of it. But what are the benefits? Why do you think they actually thought of having an AIF at first place, right? And why are they doing the pooling? What are the benefits that they have? And how you as an investor from long-term perspective approach it. There are a lot of structures possible for angel investors. There is a specific regime around it, which is angel fund investor. There is an AIF category 1, which specifically gives opens the platform for angel investors. So I'll just touch upon a few important aspects around it. And what we have seen during the course of my journey, I would say, or as a law firm, our journey over a couple of years, right? This AIF regime was introduced in 2012. We are in 2026. And the number of AIFs that they have gone almost above 1,800, which is like huge. And the AUM that we are looking at is around 14,000 in billion terms, 14,000 billion. So which is a huge amount. And then obviously government also is looking to, open avenues for foreign investors to invest in India, because wherever I have gone or I have spoken about Indian AIFs or even to global investors, they are very, very excited to invest in India. It's everywhere, it's about India's story, and we should be really happy about it, right? And practically we have seen it. But there are, of course, a few aspects which we need to consider when we are looking at it. So I'll just take you guys through that. So I think the first slide just why, what are the different pooling avenues available today under the SEBI regime. So one of them is alternative investment fund, on which we are going to focus today. The other is CIS, and then the other one is mutual fund. I'm sure everyone is aware about mutual fund. CS is not something which we are focusing right now, so I'll just quickly skip to the next one. Now, this is one, I mean, I would just, as I was mentioning, I wanted to highlight few important aspects which every investor should just think while they are exploring different options. Can I have a mic? It's very difficult for me to speak like this. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Yeah. I'm a little more comfortable like this. So the first thing, as I was mentioning, why anybody should think also or even explore an option, because you will have a professional fund manager. The way we were discussing that there can be multiple aspects when we look at a startup. Now, whether there is a proper pipeline. Now, if we talk about SEBI AF regime, it itself talks about diversification. It is compulsory for any venture capital fund manager that they have to at least have 4 investments. So they will not put all their eggs only in one oven. You need to have diversification. So this gives every investor that avenue, okay, if I am giving X amount, which otherwise with the ticket size that I have, I would be only able to invest in a single portfolio entity. Now I can actually have access to 4 portfolio entities because there is somebody who is professionally managing it and will also give me good pipeline and good investments. That is one aspect which is critical. The second is, again, I think I covered on diversification. The third is better access to proprietary deals. Now, since alternative investment funds I would say as a platform is quite famous, there are a lot of startups who directly go and meet this alternative investment funds. There is a whole industry. Obviously, IVCA is somebody who has so many members. So there is a lot of intercommunication that happens between each and every fund manager. So everybody is aware what is happening, what is not happening in the industry, what, when, how, in what form and manner it should be done. And then there are a lot of representations that happens from both the aspects, from startup aspect as well as from the investors aspect, and then from the managers aspect to the regulators as well as to the income tax authority. So there is a whole ecosystem around it, and you can take benefit of the entire ecosystem once you're part of that ecosystem. The next point is the structured governance and reporting. So I'll touch upon that in my subsequent slides when I'm talking about what kind of reporting and governance that you can actually have, which you normally as an individual investor or as a family office, you might not be able to get it, because when you're negotiating with the startups, you may not be able to push it, or you may not be able to get it in the form and manner ideally which you should have. That will be much, much easier, because again, in case of an AIF, there's a large sum that you're investing, and the fund managers are already professionals. They know what is the market practice. So they'll be able to get better rights for you from these startups. Again, on the execution side, there are a lot of meetings, your representation on the board, right? A lot of times you may want to be part of those meetings. You may or may not contribute, you want to hear. But it may not be possible for you to even know what is happening in those meetings because the size of your investment is very small. All these benefits you will be able to have if you are going through a structured manner, in case of AIFs. Again, investor protection, as I mentioned, that the negotiations are very, very critical when you are investing in startups. And when you are doing through a professional manager, it becomes much easier and the kind of rights you get will be better. The next is on the support system. So actually, I'll touch upon this little later. Let me first take you through the industry growth. Then I'll come to those slides. The way I was mentioning, the industry has grown. The regulations came in 2012. Before that, it was VCF regulations. But AIF, when they came, currently we are talking about what, almost 1,800 plus AIFs already in existence. The kind of money that they have raised, as I was mentioning, is also very huge. What you can see on the screen is almost 14,000 billion we are talking about, and that's just in period of almost 12 plus years we are talking about. Especially category 1 and 2 are the ones who have raised maximum money and have also invested. So it's not only about raising, but the investments have also happened. So I think that's also very critical for everyone to note. And I think the last one is the kind of commitments that we have raised. The way you can see on the screen is category 2, the maximum raise. Again, let me also clarify. A couple of years I would say around 2016, 17, up to then, majority of the money that were raised were in category 1. Then what happened? There were a lot of benefits that were given to category 1 which were not available for category 2. But now all those benefits have been transferred to category 2. So category 2 AIFs have started getting a lot of flexibility, because of which you can see that category 2 license have got the maximum, I would say, they've raised maximum money and invested maximum money. But if you ask me, quite a lot of chunk of that particular portion is also related to VCFs we are talking about, right? Just to get that flexibility on investment objective side, people go and register themselves as Cat 2, but typically these guys do Cat 1. In fact, SIDBI also earlier used to only because they had a fund of fund, they were investing majorly in Cat 1, but now they've started investing in Cat 2, with of course the criteria remains as is. So just from flexibility perspective, you can see Cat 2 more, but overall it's more VC investments that you can see on this. I will just, the next slide is actually more on how an AIF is structured. I'll just focus majorly on what are the key aspects which is very relevant for the investors when there are multiple service providers involved. So in fact, in my previous slide, which I just skipped, if you see what I had actually covered is that only. What you can see on the screen is, as an investor, you may think that, okay, fine, there is an AIF and I'm investing in that AIF, that AIF is raising 1,000 crores, and I'm just putting in 1 crore. Now, I don't think so whether I'll be able to negotiate well with the manager. I don't know what kind of fees the manager will give me, what all rights the manager will give. There is some other investor who's giving them 100 crore. Obviously, he's going to give all the benefits to them and not to me. But actually, that's not the case. SEBI as a regulator has been very, very mindful of small investors in case of AIF, and hence they have actually come up with a lot of laws and I would say provisions in the regulation itself which protects even the smallest investor. So if you see on the screen, one very important aspect to be noted is that all investors within the scheme are treated fairly. So let's say if a particular large investor is getting an X benefit, that X benefit cannot have a negative impact on you as a small investor. So SEBI has ensured, so you don't have to worry about it, it is the regulator who will ensure. And then if things goes wrong, of course, there are a lot of avenues where you can go and get answers from the manager, there are different structures available in case of an AIF. The most commonly used structure is a trust. So you can go and speak to the trustee. If they are not giving you answers, you can speak to the manager. If that's not happening, you can go to SEBI. There are a lot of automation. There's a scores complaint system. So multiple avenues are available for you to get answers from the regulator. The next point what you can see is, again, on the pro rata rights. So now, when there is an investment happening, nobody can say, okay, no, your share was only this much, somebody else's share was more. No, that is not how it's of course going to be pro rata to your commitments to the AIF, but it is strictly as is that the manager has to follow. There is no, I would say there is no discretion that any professional manager has that, okay, this particular investor will get only this much share and the other will get more. That's not possible. So again, your rights are pretty much protected here. Pari passu is again similar kind of rights that you have, that whether the exits are happening, when the drawdowns are happening, when the reportings are going, so on and so forth. All these things have to be very, very transparently mentioned in your documents, and if there is any change, again for that change, they have to inform you. If there is any material change, for example, somebody has said, okay, I'm going to invest in ABC kind of, I would say, structures. And then ultimately they don't do ABC, but they do X, Y, Z. That's not possible. If they want to change the objective, they have to come to 75% of the investors and take the approval. Again, there's a process mentioned under the law on what process, how to get that approval. So SEBI is pretty much involved in every day-to-day activity that the manager is doing for the investors. Any differential rights, for example, reporting rights, few investors may have additional reporting requirements. Like, for example, if we talk about SIDBI, they have some government-based reporting requirements. In that case, still that will be disclosed to each and every investor in the fund. So overall, if you see what you can see on the screen is that in some form or manner, SEBI is ensuring that the investor is protected, and it never happens that investor doesn't know what, when, how his money is going to be utilized, and if there is a change, whether they have provided any, enough information has been provided to them or not. The next thing, as I had just skipped this slide as well. This is again from support system. There is a third-party review of the documents. There are a lot of remote reporting like CTR, which happens annually. There is an audit that happens on annual basis. There are quarterly reports that goes to the investors. There are quarterly reports that goes to the regulator themselves. So the reporting is also quite I would say, on a very, very diligent side and frequent to the regulator as well as to the investor. So this is how the investors' rights are being protected by the regulator. I think this is the typical structure. Okay, sorry, I'll just go to the typical. This is how the typical AIF structure, again, I'll just keep it short and sweet here. The most commonly used structure for an alternative investment fund is a trust, and hence you can see a lot of parties around it. Like you have an independent trustee, third-party trustee. You will need a sponsor. So again, I think one very critical thing what regulator wants is if you are giving your money in hand of a professional manager, they also have to have skin in the game. So it's not that they are not aligned. Their interests are also aligned with you. Second important thing is there are multiple policies that the professional manager has to have. So in that case, if there is any conflict, like for example, a lot of fund managers have their own prop money that they invest. So there has to be a standard policy which they maintain. So it's not that they get all the good deals and they don't pass on those deeds to the AIF. That's not how it operates. They have to have those policies in place and it has to be thoroughly followed because regulator is very, very particular about those aspects as well. In fact, in case of conflicts, if there are a lot of approvals required as per the regulations. So these are the typical 3 categories of AIF, the way I was mentioning, category 1, 2, 3. I'll touch upon category 1 and 2. 1 typically has multiple subcategories, what you can see on the screen. So there's a separate category for VCF, there's a separate category for angel funds, then SME, social impact, infra, and so on and so forth. Category 2 is more a residuary one. 3 is more on the listed side, so I'm not touching upon much on that. Again, this is on the statutory compliance and framework. I'll not bore you guys too much into it, but if I have to give you a gist of it, there is a code of conduct, there is a fiduciary responsibility on the manager. So in a lot of forms and manners, SEBI ensures that every investor is treated equally. All the investments are as per the objective as mentioned in the document, and if there is any change, it has to be thoroughly approved by the investors. If not, then there's a process mentioned which has to be followed, in simple words. I just wanted to touch upon this aspect because I've been hearing that a lot of angel investors, a lot of investors or family offices are there in the room. So I just wanted to highlight a few key aspects or the benefits that you get when you go through an AIF. So first important thing is a QIB status. AIF actually gets a QIB status, so that gives you a lot of benefit while seeking allocation in the primary issuances like IPOs and QIPs. The second benefit you have is there's a post-IPO lock-in exemption. So for any investor, if you are doing an investment and then the entity is getting listed, there is a lock-in period, but that exemption is available for category 1 and 2 AIF. Thirdly, foreign investments in AIF are all under automatic route. I don't know whether we have right now in the room people who are having their family members outside India. And if they are interested in investing in India, then there is, of course, an automatic route. There's a different regime altogether which is available under GIFT City, where Indian investors want to raise globally or invest globally. That is also possible through professional fund managers' license. But maybe we can touch upon that later. The next important thing is third-party investments in AIF. We have seen, based on our experience, a lot of family offices initially wants to invest their own money, but they obviously want to also involve their friends and family's money. So when you want to do a pooling thing, AIF is the option for you. You'll be able to build your brand name also. In fact, we have seen large family offices who initially started investing only their money, now they have started raising third-party money as well, and they're doing really great for themselves. So you can actually think of starting your own AIFs. Taxation, of course, there's a benefit, there's a tax pass-through. So as an investor, whatever tax you would have paid otherwise, you will pay similar taxes in case of an category 1 and 2 AIF. Cap table issue. A lot of startups always have a problem to show 50 investors on their cap table. If you go through an AIF, that's definitely a benefit because there's only a single investor. Startups, for them, it becomes easier because they only have to deal with one person. And for you as an investor, you get a better right because the manager is already negotiating on your behalf and you have a larger sum which is getting invested in the startup. So your say is better there. Then also there's one more important thing is SBO, which is basically if you make an investment directly, you will be, the details of your entity will go to the portfolio company, or let's say if it's an LLP. Anybody can just pay 50 rupees on ROC and get the details of how much money you have invested. But if you go through an AIF, nobody can know who are the investors in that AIF. So your details actually is not available in public. This is in fact one of the most important aspect I think we have seen in past where family offices or even individuals for the matter of fact wants to go through AIF because they don't want everybody to know what they're investing, where they're investing in, how much portion they're investing. They want to have their own books for themselves and not for everyone. So I think that's another critical aspect. I think this slide again talks about the same thing on the SBO side, on shareholder. If there is any change, let's say, and you are investing as a LLP, and if there is any change, you have to do reporting. There are certain reportings under Companies Act. So all those things I'm sure you would have faced, which you will be able to avoid if you go for an AIF, especially in form of a trust. I think the next slide is on the angel fund. This slide talks about, as I was mentioning, there's a separate regime altogether. Under category 1, there's a subcategory for angel fund. Now, this angel fund regime, I'm not going to do too much detail. If anybody has any questions, you can ask me later. But one key aspect I wanted to highlight, you feel that, okay, I'm investing in ABC AIF. Now, that AIF is going to do 15 deals. I'm only interested in 5. That is possible through angel fund AIF. Here, it's deal by deal. So every deal that the manager is looking at, they will come and show you that deal. If you're interested, you invest. If you're not, then you'll be skipped in that particular investment. So this kind of options are also available in case of an AIF. So it's not necessary that every deal that an AIF does, you have to choose. But this option is only there in case of angel fund, and of course there are certain criteria around it which you will have to meet in the sense you have to be an AI, which is accredited investor. You can see on the screen what is the requirement. If it's an individual or an HU, if it's a company, then what's the criteria, or if it's any other trust or something, then what are the criteria. But if you fit into that criteria, you can definitely become an investor in an angel fund. I think, again, this is as I was mentioning, deal by deal, portfolio diversification, regulated framework, all similar lines I think I have covered here. Okay, this is on the IVCA. I think I had some data on our IVCAs. I've just put it on the screen. We have, of course, a lot of people here who are going to talk about much on this. So the overall members that we can see for IVCA is around 480 plus. So they capture almost, 46% of the market share, I would say, what IVCA has, and the kind of AUM that the members of the IVCA has is 350 billion. And I believe Rajat and team has been doing a fantastic job. We do a lot of sessions for them, along with them, and with obviously a lot of esteemed, I think, colleagues we have who will be speaking after me, who will, who are members of it and have gained a lot of benefits out of it. So yeah, that's on my side, I think. Thank you so much. If any questions.
That was too much to process in a short span of time. But I think this session itself deserves a whole day. Should you have any questions, as ma'am said already, please do contact her, because yeah, we do have the networking dinner. Well, ma'am, at this point of time, we'd love to honor you with a token of appreciation, and I'd like to invite Mr. Hemachandran, please, sir, to present the memento to Twinkle. Can I have a huge round of applause for Ms. Twinkle for putting it across for all of us within the given frame of time? Come on, yeah, I think we need some more energy in the room. Come on. Well, thank you. Thank you. And may I invite Ms. Mamatha? Ms. Mamatha, please join us on the stage. And we actually wanted to honor you when you spoke, but then it happened. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us. And here's a small token of love and appreciation from Startup Singam and Mr. Hemachandran presenting it to Ms. Mamatha. Well, thank you, ma'am. Again, should you have any questions on Mamatha's session, please do contact her. Well, I think the session was so fast but still interesting, and with that, we could feel that the AFs are no longer only for institutions. With the right knowledge, it is for every serious investors in the room. That being said, up next, may I invite Mr. Raj Gopal, Managing Partner at Stira Partners, who as an institutional investor has committed 11.5 crores on the platform. Please put your hands together as we invite Mr. Raj from Stira Partner. A warm round of applause, everybody. Come on. Very welcome, sir. And over to you.
Thank you. Just wanted to use this opportunity to pass on a few messages to all Chennai investors here. About a year and a half back, I must admit, we were very skeptical as investors. Saw this as a, media platform. Will it be serious and things like that? But it's been fantastic. The energy that Hem and Bala bring in, Arun and his team. We generally have done like one deal a year, trying, as Chandrasekhar mentioned, trying not to lose money. But in this platform, the first boot camp that we attended, there were 68 pitch decks, and 23 we found really interesting. The others, it was not that they were bad, they were outside our area of interest. And the way the team under Arun had put together pitch decks for us to select, the way they organized the boot camp, I would encourage every HNI to attend these boot camps because it was so energizing. I mean, you can feel the pulse of Tamil Nadu's entrepreneurship in these boot camps. So fantastic discovery platform. Also, someone else mentioned it's been great learning. I remember very fondly a trip Raghu, who was here a little while ago, and I made to Mysore to visit one of the startups. And, it was such a learning experience. So collaborating with other investors also, this is a great platform. At Stira, we are a close-ended 14-year AIF. And that stands for, patient capital founder friendly. All my friends who saw this event also find that this platform is respectful of entrepreneurs and actually delivers capital. So, hats off to the team that's doing that. Lastly, just want to say that, have been looking for deep tech investments for the last 3-4 years. Met 4 or 5 robotic companies and, never found, we were not able to make an investment. But on this platform, we discovered one, folks based in Chennai, selling robots to the Japanese. So it's been a great platform, and I wish every one of you spend as much time as you can. And, in this season as well as in the next season, all of you are also participating in investments the way we are. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Raj, for the quick topic. And with that, well, ladies and gentlemen, upcoming is one interesting session we all have been waiting for. We have spent this evening discussing, understanding the ecosystem, the policies, the instruments. Now, is the time that we get to hear from the people who actually sit across the table, from the entrepreneurs, from the founders, who write the checks and who take the risks and who have seen the first hand what great startup investing looks like. So please join me in welcoming our chief mentor of Startup Singam and partner at Mudal Partners, Mr. Kumar Vembu. Please, sir. Followed by him, Mr. Krishna Ramachandran, managing partner at TVS Capital Funds. With over 25 to 30 years of experience across global firms, he brings deep expertise in finance, operations, and large-scale enterprise transformation. And up next, Mr. Vikram Gupta, the founder and managing partner of IvyCap Ventures, a leading Indian venture capital firm known for pioneering the alumni-driven investment model by leveraging networks from premier institutions like IITs and IIMs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is our fireside chat, candid, unscripted, and real. Well, gentlemen, the room is yours.
Good evening, all. So welcome to Mr. Vikram and Mr. Krishna. So I am not an investor by profession. So, after signing up to Startup Singam, I have to do many things, learn on the job and do many things. So this is one such activity. So maybe I'll start with how I became an investor and what really helped me. Right? So when I, in fact, the session on AAF was very interesting because I have never been formally through a session like that. So I learned, okay, there are so many things in investing during the presentation. Because what I do is I have some personal money and I have some money in our company. Since the company does not have any other business, the only business is, and I'm not interested in starting another product given my age and health. So I thought I will just invest the money in other startups which can use the money and grow. So that's the whole idea. And when I meet the founders, I basically look at, how good the founders are in what they want to do and how committed they are in what they want to do and what gives them a right to succeed. And most importantly, I look for what I would call as asymmetries. Basically, asymmetry is like there is something in technology that they have that other people don't have. Or there is something about the market that they know, some market insight that other people don't have. Or there is, some, you can even say some arbitrage that they have because of the position they are in that others don't have. So these are all sort of the lenses over a period of time, when I started and when I was running a company, when I look at what is the prospect for my product and how can I actually, build a product where the investment I make compounds every day. Because that's what is important. So when you make an investment, your investment has the potential of compounding every day. So the longer you stay with the investment, the bigger your returns are because it compounds every day. For that investment to compound, you what in most people call as a moat. So basically you have these asymmetries, looking at all the asymmetry is very important. So I basically look at all of them based on my own knowledge and my own experience. And I would say a lot of times, I'm a very emotional person, so the decision is finally driven by, what my emotions are, and that's how I go about my investment. And I must say I've been lucky. In fact, many of the investments that I've done well were investments where I was able to make a decision within the first 30 minutes of meeting the founders. In fact, Hem and Bala told me that they had prepared a presentation and they made a presentation and things like that. They didn't make a presentation to me. I don't think I have seen the presentation. They have never showed it to me. So basically, during a casual conversation, over breakfast, if I remember right, we made a decision halfway through our breakfast and enjoyed the rest of the breakfast. So that's my typical decision-making method, right? If there is some method to that madness, but I would like to listen to Krishna and Vikram on how to scientifically do that. So I am also here to learn. Thank you.
Awesome. I think it's it's really an honor to be here, and I always look for opportunities to come to Chennai. My first ever investment in my investment career was actually in Tamil Nadu. Kaveri Medical Center was my first investment. So I have a lot of personal attachment with this place. So interestingly, my story goes back to, so I actually learned the word private equity in 2007-8. And before that, I was, working in other companies. I worked in pharma, I worked in consulting, I worked in the US on technology side. So that was my background. And then I joined the Piramal Group, where I set up India's first healthcare life sciences private equity fund. And it was from that fund where I had invested in Kaveri Medical Center, which was a very amazing experience, I would say. And I think I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about, the local cultures here also. And I realized that there is a lot of emotional connect here. And I think that experience of setting up that fund at Piramal's, where I raised about 400 crores in 2008, when the markets were really bad, it was actually a very, I would say, learning experience. Raising all domestic capital from 32 Indian financial institutions was actually quite an experience. And that was the first time I realized that there's so much capital sitting in India that actually one can actually raise. And as luck would have it, Piramal sold their healthcare business to Abbott, which was one of the largest deals of its time. And they didn't want to continue working on that fund. So I moved on to set up IvyCap Ventures in 2011. And it's quite interesting. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And when I moved back from US in 2005, my objective was to start up my own business. And at that time, I had no clue about, how to be even an entrepreneur. I had no clue how to go about becoming an entrepreneur. And I had an idea, and I thought I will do it in India. I set up a business in medical tourism, and realized that I had no team, no capital, absolutely nothing. So I realized very soon that, this was not going to work. And that's how my first entrepreneur journey started. And then when I learned the concept of private equity, I realized, wow, now I can fund entrepreneurs, and I can live my entrepreneurial journey through somebody else by partnering with them. So that was the real excitement for me. But then the concept of IvyCap came up, when I realized that, first of all my savings I had invested in my own startup, and I had almost left with no savings. So effectively, on the day when I started IvyCap, I had almost zero savings. And I had no team. It was like, just myself. But I came up with the idea thinking that, just like we were talking here, and there's a lot to learn from the way this whole platform has been set up. I think this whole community aspect is what really came to my mind, that unless I bring a community together which is emotionally connected with each other. And I think that emotional connect, and I think what you were talking about is exactly that. Emotional connect becomes very important when you're investing in others. And the only asset of that, the key asset that I had was my background from IIT Delhi. And I said, okay, let me leverage that emotional connect and go to the entire IIT ecosystem and tell them that, look, I'm going to set up a fund which initially I'm going to put only into IITians, and I will give back part of 25% of my profit that I'm going to make back to IITs to set up endowments in the country. And that concept actually emotionally connected a lot with people. And I hacked into LinkedIn. At that time, LinkedIn used to be very hackable. So I downloaded 75,000 alumni database and reached out to them saying, I'm raising 200 crores and I'm going to invest in IIT alumni. And I'm going to really, I need 1 day of your month for mentorship if you would like to give. And would you like to invest in the fund? And I received 25,000 responses in a very short period of time. People loved the idea of this endowment that, we loved this idea of giving back to the ecosystem. So in the process, I was able to raise 240 crores, my first fund. And that was something which was kind of very satisfying. And also the fact that I had a lot of institutional investors during my Piramal fundraise, so I went back to a lot of institutions and was able to raise 80% of my capital from actually Indian institutions in my first fund itself. So with that, I started investing. 2013 to 15, I made my first fund investments. And then I started working on my second fund, targeting 500 crores, raised 530 crores. Got lot more institutional investors, lot more alumni on board. Invested that fund into 23 companies. First fund was in 10 companies, second fund is 23 companies. Third fund was targeting 1,500 crores. My first close happened at 1,600 crores. I raised 2,100 crores in my third fund. And in the process, this whole concept of the alumni ecosystem and the give back, I actually conceptualized India's first endowment fund, which was set up at IIT Delhi, which was launched by the Honorable President at Rashtrapati Bhavan. And I have another passion, which is a passion for music. So I composed a song for this endowment fund where I got a few successful IIT Delhi alumni who actually were successful entrepreneurs. And that song was, in fact, played at Rashtrapati Bhavan at the time of the launch. So that was a high moment for me personally. But that was something that created the emotional connect. Because when that song became viral to the entire alumni community, that's when they learned about this endowment fund, and that's when they started contributing to that endowment fund. And, so basically, we typically try to understand from the entrepreneurs the why part, what is driving you, what is motivating you. And I tell people that the why part for IvyCap is this endowment. So what is driving me personally is this give back to the system. And in the process, we now actually created an endowment give back from our own funds of almost 200 crores to be given back to the IITs, IIMs, and other educational institutions. Now we expanded to other educational institutions. And in the process, I think we've been very fortunate to be here where we are. So, just wanted to give that background. So I don't want to take all the time here. I'll let Krishna talk about his journey.
Thank you. One data point, there are about 378,000 HNIs as per Hurun list in India. Chennai has 22,800, and we have less than 100 people here today. So you can imagine the potential that the HNI group and Chennai has got to create how many more entrepreneurs. Why should we create entrepreneurs and why should we do innovation? One of the reasons a society grows, an economy grows, is because of innovation. It doesn't grow by just making more cars, making more services, but seeing how smarter we can deliver the services, how cheaper we can deliver. The economy expands largely by innovation. So innovation comes only through startups, if you really see. Startups is a source for innovation, which is very clearly. So now, why AIFs, right? Why AIFs and why not do a startup directly? So all of you can invest directly, we can also invest directly. But the fear, I heard at least twice or thrice today in the evening saying, I don't want to lose capital, I'm worried about losing capital. the reward, if you all studied economics, right, the profit is the reward for risk taking. And if you take risk, there's a bit of risk on the capital as well, right? There's a bit of risk. So for those who don't have the heart to take such a risk, what do? They have to spread it. As an individual, what do? You put some money in gold, some in real estate, some in stocks, some in debt. So similarly, when you invest in startups, you don't do one or two. Because the probability of losing maybe 50%, 100%. It could happen, right? So you put in 10 or 12. So I'm asking you to put more money. You may not be able to put in 10 or 12 because you may not have so much of money. So how do you do that? So like Twinkle was explaining, you put the money in the AIF. The AIF is willing to take the risk and manage it and puts it over 10 or 12 people. So maybe there's some capital erosion in some. There's huge capital appreciation in some. But overall, what you'll find is there'll be capital appreciation. So therefore, for those who want to be the first-time investor and they want to spread but don't know how to spread by themselves, AIF is a good vehicle for them to spread. They can put their money there. Very few AIFs in Chennai, right? Right, Twinkle, very few. Right? We are one of the oldest AIFs in Chennai, 18 years in there. Twinkle doesn't even have an office in Chennai. So I'm personally, as a Chennaiite, as a Tamilian, I'm very motivated to encourage all of you to participate in AIF and set up AIFs in Chennai. So hopefully large law firms will come and set up office in Chennai. And the city, which is known for entrepreneurship from time immemorial, will also be known for AIFs, right? Mamatha spoke a little bit about fund of funds and SIDBI. So I'll just give you an example. In our last fund, we invested in a NBFC, a rural NBFC, which was meeting the criteria for SIDBI's investment. So it ticked the box, our contract was ticked, everything was done. What did it create? It created 1,800 jobs in tier 3 and tier 4 towns. That company created. That company also gave loans to about 12,000 people in the rural households. It created, through a tractor system, about 1,000 micro-entrepreneurs. Look at the cascading impact of investing in a startup and investing in entrepreneurship and investing through fund of funds. So sometimes we underestimate the contribution the AIF makes to the society, to the economy. You only look at, okay, let's put money, let's make 5x and 6x. But under that 5x and 6x, or maybe sometimes a 0.5x, there are so many jobs that have got created. So much of cascading impact on the economy which has got created. And that, I think, is our capitalist way of contributing to a socialist cause. That, I feel, is an unstated story of AIF. So please invest in AIF is what I would say.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think Krishna spoke about risk and reward. See, we are into early stage investment, mostly. So in the early stage, my view is that risk is the reward. So that means you don't look at risk versus reward, because it's risk is the reward. And there is also, so one point he mentioned is that if you invest through an AIF, your money is spread across maybe 10 or 23 investments. So definitely, you get your capital back and you get some return. So that is definitely much safer, and he was also quite transparent in mentioning sometimes you will get 5 to 6x, sometimes you may get even 0.5x. So that's the reality even when invested through the AIF. But if you are an entrepreneur and you want to invest, like why, while I am part of the AIF, Krishna runs, and part of Stira also, but one thing that I find exciting when you are engaged with the startup directly, because in an AIF, like Twinkle mentioned, there are professional managers, it is a SEBI-regulated entity, and there is less scope for emotional decision in investing. So the larger the fund is, the more science it is, right? Whereas, let's say, a new baby is born in your family, right? All of us say that, our child is very intelligent, very bright, very active, and things like that, right? But how do we tell, when, like at a very young age, which child is going to achieve what, right? Many times in school, we see a last bencher whom teachers write off, going and outperforming every prediction that is made. Right? So that means if you are investing directly in startup, so one thing you get to see is that messy, indisciplined, sometime naughty, sometime high energy, sometime focused, whatever words they are, right? That's how the startup presents themselves to you. The founders present themselves to you. So in an early stage. So if you see, probably 80% of the companies that come in Startup Singam are those, you can say they are, in a play school or a preschool or in a kindergarten kind of kids, 80%. Maybe 20% startups are in primary or middle school or high school, right? So if you are an entrepreneur, like in Tamil, there is a saying we say, Pambin kal pambariyum. That means a snake's path, only another snake knows. So if you have been there, done that, you have built companies and things like that, will you be able to see that spark in another founder? Will you be able to bet on that founder? Right? So while I agree that the risks are high, but given this investment is both a science and an art. Basically, there are science aspects in terms of what is the skill of the founder, what is the problem he is solving, does it have a market and things like that. The art portion of it is, what is the commitment level of the founder, right? What is the grit? Will the founder run away faced with a challenge, or will he stand up and face it? Because every journey, whether they are funded or not, whether they are mentored or not, is a roller coaster ride. Right? And like they say in English, right, when when things become tough, the tough gets going, right? So you will know that only when a founder is presented with that situation, whether they have it in them to continue and fight and build and things like that, right? Only when they have competition, intense competition, you will know whether they have the competitive spirit and the killer instinct to win in the market. But those are all, you can say some informed, intuitive decisions that you take, meaning you can go wrong, right? But I would say a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of the, whether it is money or whether it is some kind of sounding board, some kind of, you can say, opportunity, additional opportunity to learn. I am consciously not using the word coaching, managing and things like that, because when you invest in a startup, you are not hiring another manager or another leader for your company, right? You are investing in a startup founder. We have to give them the space, the time, and the scope to make mistakes and learn everything. But can we be the sounding board? Right? Can we be the like basically give them the options? Can we, without judgment, can we allow them to think, make them think, ask them some open-ended questions, so that they make their own decisions, right? So in the early stages, if we are able to be that and give them some capital, maybe the chance of survival of startups increase by some percentage. Maybe the speed at which they can scale increase by some percentage. And then maybe, like overall the number of jobs created and the impact this capital has is much more. So in my view, when you work as an individual investor in a company, while I agree there is no, the regulation, protection, everything, you are protecting your own capital. So that means you are making your own decision. But, you have more, freedom, and that freedom definitely comes with responsibility. But you have been there, done that, and you don't bring that attitude into that investment, saying, I have been there, done that, I have more gray hair, so you better listen to me with the founder. then the chance of success of the founder increases, and definitely failure rate will come down and you will be much more successful. And I think AIF's work when, basically something like a child has completed 10th standard, you know their public exam marks or you know their interest, and the child knows what their interest is, whether they want to make it a lifestyle business, whether they want to scale and grow and things like that. And I think that is where more institutional, formal capital helps, where more scientific decisions can be made. So I would like to basically distinguish between the idea stage and very early stage investments, where the HNIs and entrepreneurs who have been there, done that, can do, and where they can also invest in AIFs, where these companies have some level of maturity to pass all the, the professionalism and institutional frameworks that are there. So that's my thought. Thank you.
I just want to add two important things to what Kumar was saying. I think one is, the due diligence process that the funds use. There's a lot of detailing that you go into. Detailing about individuals, detailing about the legal aspects of the company, about the commercial aspects. And I think, and typically it's done by a third party. You employ third party due diligence agencies who actually go into a lot of detailing and then come back with what are the gaps that you may not have seen otherwise. And it's a process. It takes almost 2 months, 1 month to 2 month kind of a detailed assessment, which actually sometimes leads you to a lot of revelations that you may not have thought about earlier during your process of evaluation. So that as an AIF, becomes very critical because you're managing third-party capital. There's a lot of fiduciary responsibility. And, in fact, that's one of the things, the process that you follow. In our case, for example, we have a pre-IC, then we have an IC, first level IC, then there's a due diligence process, then there's a second IC, then there are this lot of negotiations after that on the contract. So I think it's a long drawn process, but at the end of it, you know what you're dealing with, and you know what the real gaps are. I mean, of course, you cannot do 100%, you cannot be 100% right, but you still, at least, you know what you're dealing with. So that's very important aspect, and a very key difference between, investing on your gut and in a very short period of time versus taking proper process, following a proper process. The second piece is typical AIFs come with a time frame. So if I have a 10-year fund, the first 3 years I'm investing, and my average holding period of an investment I'm taking, let's say, 5 to 6 years, which means I have to exit. I have to exit because there is a sword hanging on my head that the fund will complete its life. The money has to go back to the investors. If I don't return that money, my own career is in danger because my next fund will not exist. So therefore, at the time of investment itself, I have to make sure that I figure out my exit path. So I don't want to be like Abhimanyu of Chakravyuh, because basically I want to make sure I know how to get in, but I know also how to get out. And therefore, there are lots of discussions that happen early on the exit clauses. So therefore, typically we are very, very sensitive about how we're going to exit. So that piece also creates some kind of a discipline with the founders in terms of how they're reporting to the investors. If you're not going in that path which you had committed to going on, the chances are that you will not reach that point where you were thinking of getting an exit. So you may have to then either accelerate an exit or think of alternative ways. So I think many times people don't understand these aspects, especially when you're dealing with investing directly versus investing through AIF.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point to bring across in terms of diligence and fiduciary responsibility. So a couple of interesting thoughts I want to leave behind here. One is, I think you spoke about AIF2 And we didn't talk about, I'm not talking about pooling vehicles or angels, but the minimum requirement for an AIF as per SEBI is 1 crore. 1 crore rupees. So it's not a lot of money. It's a lot of money, yes, in India, but still not a lot of money for many of you in this room, I'm assuming, right? And you don't pay that 1 crore in one shot. You pay it depending on the fund's investment pattern between 3 to 5 years, right? You pay it over 3 to 5 years over the period of time. So therefore, I'm saying it's kind of affordable. That's one data point. The second data point is all the AIFs have to go through what is called a benchmark survey done by 3 institutions. One of them is CRISIL. So IVCA has actually pioneered this. We are the only country in the world where AIFs are benchmarked and the reports are available. And when you invest in AIF, you can ask for a report, which means you know how this AIF is performing vis-a-vis the peers. So even in the unlisted space, can you imagine you're actually getting a benchmark report to know how they're performing vis-a-vis others. So you can take a conscious decision of what you need to do, how to invest. The third interesting thing that SEBI has done, a minimum of once a year, normally twice a year, an independent fund valuation of the investments have to be done. So it's independent valuation of the investment. So what we call the mark-to-mark valuation, is it real, is it true, untrue? It's independent. Like for example, my fund, BDO does this, then EY does the audit. Many other funds, you also have similar. So what happens is that gives you a lot of transparency. And every half year you get a statement which is valued by somebody independent, and you get those statements. These are all protection clauses that you have. Should you decide to do something of this sort, there is something called the accredited investor. I think you briefly spoke about it. There's something worthwhile for all HNIs to do. HNIs will qualify, there's no doubt. You just need to go through that process to do that. That makes your investment very easier and simple. So there are interesting clauses for HNIs to go through this AIF structure, both in terms of protection as well as transparency and visibility of what you're doing. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, I totally agree with Vikram and Krishna about the importance of due diligence. In fact, even when we invest our own money, we basically do a very in-depth due diligence, and in fact, we spend a lot of time with the founders, our team. So while we have a third party that will do the financial and legal due diligence, we also spend a lot of time to do our own business due diligence, because we understand the business, and most of the time what we find is that people who do financial due diligence or legal due diligence, they don't look at business, but it's the business that is creating that, the finances or the legal things or whatever. So I think, I would still, basically say that for an entrepreneur, because in India, what is the shortage today, right? So the institutional funding, when somebody is actually ready to take it, because it's basically like when a AIF does the due diligence, they have to tick, let's say, 50 tick marks. Whereas when as an entrepreneur you invest in a founder, you may find 25 things to be weak, and but you may find 3 things to be the reason why somebody can win. So the stage at which they are in, it's the strengths that matter more than the weakness, because with you can make the founder think about the weaknesses and help them address. For example, in the Startup Singam program itself, we meet founders who only know how to build the product. So they don't even have, sales and marketing, and whatever, sales they do is founder-led sales. And the founders, most of these founders, including me, when I always suck at sales, right? Because a techie is never a good salesman, right? So, or rarely a good salesman, because I won't say never, because there are also some techies who are awesome salesmen. But that's the truth. So, but we know. So when we get in, for example, we know I can relate to those founders. So it's more about whether the product will win or not, and when do they rightly transition to having somebody in sales. Because if somebody hires a salesman, brings a sales leadership too early, they will get frustrated and they will demoralize the founder also. And when they get the person too late, the sales won't be able to perform, right? So those are the things. So I would say in early stage, like the fun is in working with the founder and how you can actually make the founder understand, what are all the skills and competencies and leadership that is required to succeed, and they think about it proactively and plan for it, rather than making mistakes and falling too many times and sometimes getting killed in the process and things like that. So in my view, while I'm actually part of, as I think about it, 3 AAFs now. I've invested in Speciale Invest, so I get good returns from all of them, and I do bad for all of them. But as an entrepreneur, I enjoy directly investing in the startups and working with the founders.
Should we take a few questions maybe?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you might be having a lot of questions. Please do raise your hand so we can come to you with a mic. We'd like to open the floor for Q&A now. Anybody? Okay, so we have a question at the back. Okay, sir, after this. Sir, please go ahead. Please introduce yourself and you can go ahead with your question.
Good evening, sir. This is Ram Kumar from NatWest Constructions. So we have been seeing lot of startups from US under artificial intelligence. Are there any companies that are coming up in India as well? And are you investing any money into those companies? Because billions and billions of dollars has been pumped into these AIs.
So we are investing quite heavily into AI. I'll give you examples. So there's a company called Spectre.ai, which is predictive maintenance. So basically they work with all these factories, with a lot of this equipment that otherwise if can suddenly fail, and all of a sudden your entire factory will be in downtime. So these guys have figured out solutions for that, where they will know in advance when a particular equipment is going to fail. So that's one. There's another company called Elucidata.ai, which is a drug discovery company. Now, wherever there is a huge amount of data which can be put into a structured format, you have an opportunity to find an AI solution there. So pharma companies go through a long process of bringing drugs to the market, and drug discovery itself can be a very expensive and long-drawn process. So we invested in these two young IITians who actually developed this product where they're able to compress the time quite substantially for this drug discovery, and therefore also bring down the cost quite substantially. So we are actually seeing a lot of innovation happening on the AI side in multiple areas. So, and whether it's retail, we are even seeing innovation on the retail side, camera vision technologies, where people are using camera vision for various different use cases. And there are opportunities emerging even on the deep tech side. We are seeing hardware, for example, we're seeing a lot of opportunities building there. So actually, we're quite excited about the kind of tech which is now coming from India. So that's, I'm sure even you're seeing this.
Sarvam, started by two of them. One of them is a Tamilian back in our backyard, supporting the government sovereign AI platform, which has become a unicorn. I think it's a great example. I think so. They're enough and more. Yeah. They're enough and more here.
Yeah. Actually, Startup Singam had an AI episode that will be aired on coming Sunday, I think 19th at 11 a.m. in Vijay TV, and it will be in Jio Hotstar also. So that AI episode had all three startups that are AI startups. So I think all three of them got funded on the platform.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, sir. And over to the last cluster table.
Hi, sir. It was a very enlightening session. My name is Roland, and I have a question, rather multiple questions, but I'll just quickly wrap it up. So first thing I would like to understand is, you mentioned about multiple sectors, and Kumar Vembu sir has invested in sector agnostic style, and you into healthcare, and Krishna sir is into fintech and stuffs. So I would rather be more specific into what kind of signals that you investors see, especially in the new age, startups where the agentic AI and other deep tech startups that are emerging. So what signals that you see and what patterns that you see in those in those founders that that you see that that you can bet on. So that one question, and the next question is regarding, I'm representing a family office as well. So I just want to understand, like, what is the scenario of the the sentiments of family office towards the startup investments, and how you are observing that, and maybe few insights of yours could help us think through it, and maybe we can work around building those funds through family offices as well. So these are the two questions I have.
So your second question on family office is very interesting. Globally, family offices large family offices allocate about 20% to the unlisted space, which is combination of direct investment in unlisted and AIFs. In India, very large family offices invest less than 10%. This is the number. In the last 7 years, the number of family offices have increased by 7 times in India. About 4,000 plus large family offices are there today. And family offices invest in startups or early stage for 2 or 3 reasons. One, because it creates adjacencies to their existing businesses. So the businesses they may have in real estate or software or auto manufacturing. So they invest in those places which are adjacencies to the business, which can later be integrated with the business. That's one. Second, as I said, there's a bit of a social commitment. I was in a CII event with Chris Gopalakrishnan, who's the founder of, and he said every family office must invest in startup. Must, he said, because you are responsible to develop the nation, and therefore you must invest in startup to build that. So by the time you become a large family office, it becomes a second reason for family office to invest startup. The third reason that I'm also seeing is multi-generation of wealth, and no comment on anyone, but the younger generation today doesn't want to run the traditional family business.
Yes.
So they would like to run family offices. So in family offices, like you mentioned here, you get the thrill of being an entrepreneur by investing in these early stage. So you still have an entrepreneur, but you're not a full-time entrepreneur. So there are broadly 3 reasons that we see people investing in the family office investing in startups.
Right. So have you seen any patterns in especially in the southern region, like if you see the Congo belt or the down south, there are a lot of high net worths who doesn't know they have the capacity to run convert that assets or holding company into a family office setup. So have you gone through such kind of episodes where you were in the position to convince those people to set up these things? Because
it is very difficult to have number. I don't have the numbers, but I'll tell you. Now there are 72 Indian cities where from where we have people in the Hurun list, which was less than 15 5 years ago. So which is an indication of the wealth in the non-metro cities. That is first. Right. Second, in our last fundraise, we realized that tier 2, tier 3 towns have very large family offices, right? Very large family offices, which are actually quite active, but they're active quite regionally. So quite active regionally, and they do in adjacencies. They don't do it like in large scale elsewhere, but they're very successful.
Okay.
They're very successful.
And for them, do you still suggest an AIF route or through direct investments?
Both. See, it depends on your size, right? It's so if you're I'm just saying, if you're a 1,000+ crore family office, you'll do both. You'll do AIFs it's a risk management. You'll do direct where you understand the business very well. So I'm saying if you're
just to add to that, actually, if you invest through an AIF and look for co-investment opportunities along with the AIF, it actually also gives direct exposure. You get the best of both actually in that sense.
That's great. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So exactly. So many family offices invest in AIF specifically for this reason, as Twinkle said.
Yeah.
I can't resist from pitching about Startup Singam here, so pardon me for that. Basically, the program
You said
subjective...
you're not a good salesman, but that's not true. This is Chennai at modesty at its best.
So as Bala mentioned, see, one of the objectives of Startup Singam is, to create the awareness about opportunities in startup. So you can say maybe Startup Singam brought, at least 75 HNI, HNIs to the platform where they participate in startup investment now. Maybe in the next 3 years, 5 years, if there are success stories about successful exits from these startups, then there will be more and more HNIs and family offices that will come forward and invest in startup. So the thing is, when you invest in a AIF and have a successful exit, you only pay taxes and nobody knows about it. Whereas when you make an investment as an HNI and have a successful exit, probably it will become a news and it will inspire other people also.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you to three of you. And sir, should you have any more further questions, please take it offline. And moving on to the next question. Anybody else? We would love to request you to please keep your questions sharp and crisp. Anybody else? No? All right, then, sir, are we good to close the session?
Yeah, maybe I'll just say one last thing.
Yeah.
And I want to add to that, I want to also say good words about Startup Singam. I think I have to give a lot of credit to I've been listening to all your stories this evening, and really very, very impressed with the way you have mentioned how you've been doing this. And I think the actual funding going into startups, you talked about 25 crores in season 1 and almost 110 crores committed, and there's a lot of that funding already going into startups is actually amazing. So congratulations to you for achieving what you've achieved, and it looks like a great platform and would love to be part of that as well. I may need some subtitles in English though, so that's fine. So, but I would love to, or I would love to learn Tamil as well. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Vikram, and I also want to thank him because the college I come from is going to be about 75 years next year, and it has a very strong alumni network. So your idea of this endowment to give back is a great idea. I'll definitely discuss it in our alumni forum. I'll take your number and take your advice to set it up for our college. Thank you very much, and many thanks to Krishna for sharing statistics that I didn't know, and I'm really surprised to know that there were close to 23,000 HNIs in Tamil Nadu, and I think Hem's target and Bala's target are very clear now.
By the way, that's only Chennai. There's Coimbatore, Salem.
Okay, yeah. Because they are celebrating 100 as a milestone, now we know how many zeros to be added.
Well, that's really nice, sir. Thank you so much. And I must say, this has been 50 minutes of pure, honest investment conversation that we will ever hear in this year. Thank you so much for keeping it so interesting and so engaging for all of us. And I'm sure the audience will take a different level of understanding about what we all spoke right now. And ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause for all the three gentlemen present here? And now, KV sir, I'd like to request you to please present the memento to Vikram sir and Krishna sir. Can we have the memento, please, as a token of appreciation and love? Let's give a warm round of applause, please. We have Mr. Kumar Vembu presenting the memento to both the gentlemen here. And may I also invite Hem sir, Bala sir, and Arun sir to please join us on the stage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this conversation does not end here. We are going to continue this because post this we have our dinner, and obviously we all are here for networking, and any questions or any clarifications, any queries that you need to clarify, please get it sorted today, because we have all the brilliant minds existing in this very room, and let's utilize this opportunity to the maximum potential. And here we go for a group photograph. Well, lovely. We are back on track. We would love to end this amazing evening with the closing notes, and I'd like to invite Mr. R. Balachandar to please proceed with the closing notes. Can we have a warm round of applause for Balachandar? Thank you.
So, before we split for dinner and networking, just some concluding remarks. See, as much as Startup Singam believes in finding a path for founders and entrepreneurs, and we conduct a lot of boot camps and training programs and networking sessions like this, we also have been parallelly taking our baby steps and efforts in putting together programs like this for HNIs and early stage investors and aspiring angel investors. So I hope that this small effort will pay off and compound over the long run. And we have an excellent community of existing HNIs who are here, whom I would like to thank on behalf of Startup Singam for making it what we are. And when we started Startup Singam itself, one of the things that, there is always a comparison to a format of a show. And this whole HNI region panel that we have was something that we came up because we felt that that is what the ecosystem needed. So thanks all the HNIs in the room. Apart from a round of applause for yourselves, please. We would like all of you to graduate from 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. When Hem spoke about Ramadevi ma'am, she was not there. She's now there in the room. So round of applause to the woman who started with 10 lakhs and now has invested close to 3 crores this season. So thanks, Ramadevi ma'am. So we would like you to grow from being a 10 lakh investor and maybe move into AIFs and also potentially set up your own AIFs. So all the best to your journey as well in investing. Specifically, I would like to take a few names who made this happen today. Big names here, DPIIT, Startup India, SIDBI, IVCA, and of course our partners, Native Angels and Chennai Angels. I'd like to thank Mamatha ma'am, Ms. Mamatha Venkatesh of Startup India, for putting this idea that, hey, why don't you do this program? And she was here for the shoot on Saturday. So we quickly pulled this thing together in a week. So thanks to Mamatha, although she's not here. Thank you so much. Ms. Gayatri from IVCA. Thank you, ma'am. A round of applause for her. So, although she didn't come up to speak, she was the silent force behind putting the whole program together. So, thanks for making it happen. Thank you, Mr. Vikram, for flying down and being part of this and sharing your journey with us. Thanks, Mr. Krishna. And I think with Gopal Srinivasan sir being on our board, it gives us so much strength and energy. We always owe a lot to TVS Capital. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you, Ms. Twinkle, for that, session on AIFs. It's a lot of brushing up that we did, and it was a quick-fire session. So many of us will reach out to you for more, gyan on that. So thanks for making it happen. I'd, of course, want to thank our chief mentor, who's now not just a chief mentor, but also taking up the role of chief sales officer for us. So thank you, Kumar Vembu, sir, for being here today. And I think it was a tough call with 2 days of continuous shoot, not much of rest. And we've always been hounded, me and him, that we are making Kumar Vembu, sir, work too much. Anu ma'am, I should actually thank Anu ma'am for making this happen. Thanks, Anu ma'am. So Anu ma'am, a round of applause. She's a partner at Mudal Partners. Thank you, ma'am, for being there and being the force behind Startup Singam. And every time we have an episode, the first feedback comes from Anu ma'am, actually, on our WhatsApp group. So that's how we also keep improving. And thank you, Brand Avatar team, for pulling this together and making this happen. As usual, impeccable. Native Lead, Chennai Angels, our sponsors, our partners, and also not to forget Hayat Regency for the hospitality tonight. And thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Let's catch up over networking, dinner and drinks. Thank you so much. Sir? Arun, Startup Singam team and Arun, please come up on stage. Startup Singam team.
Sure. The entire team, please join us on the stage. And I'm sure Bala sir has covered almost every inch of people who are actually... Please go ahead, sir.
We invite the Startup Singam team over the last 3 months, continuous shoots, weekends turned into weekdays, nights turned into work. So, Sadayappan, Mani, all of you, please come forward. மேலே ஏறுங்கப்பா எல்லாரும் பசியில் இருக்காங்கப்பா சீக்கிரம் வாங்கப்பா Thank you so much for thank you for having me. Just quickly click a picture. Yeah. Then you guys can take your photo box there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we bring this amazing evening to a closure, I'd like to ask you all, how are you all feeling right now? Enlightened? Knowledgeable? Yeah? Yes? Pasikida? We are on time, so we thought we'll leave you all around 8:25. I think even before that, we'll break for our dinner. But for this wonderful evening, for all the people who put this across for all of you, can we have a huge round of applause for the entire Startup Singam team? And also this wonderful setup, the stage, beautiful stage, and all the speakers, audio, photography, videography that you're looking at is entirely brought to you by Brand Avatar team. Can we have a huge round of applause for Brand Avatar as well? And last but not least, let's not forget our wonderful sponsors. Well, Zoho Presents, Startup Singam, co-presented by TTK Prestige, powered by trusted home partner DAC. Associate sponsors, Lalita Jewelry, V. Ventures, XB Group, City Union Bank, SSVM Institutions, Chandramari Group, and Rajalakshmi Group. Digital media partner, Black Sheep. Thank you to our wonderful partners for the amazing support that have been giving us. Thank you for believing in Startup Singam. And all of you, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for your wonderful time, for being here. And I hope this session this evening was informative. And yes, please continue with your dinner. And maybe the event would have closed right now, but the real conversation starts from now on. And hoping to see you all in the upcoming sessions and upcoming meetings. With that, this is me, Nancy Sam, signing off. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye-bye and good night. Nandri, Vanakkam.
When you open office in Chennai, we'll work together. Correct. Precondition.
I will move here. Don't worry. I am known in my organization to start new offices.
Done.
Okay.
Chennai is your next bet.
Yes.
Thank you, Vikram sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Take your number.
Definitely.
Be in touch. We'll call you often to Chennai.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And what you're doing is amazing. No, great. I think this was a great evening. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so glad that I came.
Bala sir, congratulations.
Hi, sir. What would you advise me for future entrepreneurs that are building and
Sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, your bar counter is open. Please help yourselves. Both the bar counter as well as the dinner is open. It's right there at the extreme end of the hall, right behind you. Please help yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, but remember to travel safe when you go back home. If you're taking alcohol, please do not drive by yourself. Please book a cab or take a driver. Thank you.